When we help other people to achieve certain goals, there are different styles we can use to do this. We might give a lot of answers ourselves, or we might not. We might have a lot of dialogue about what should be done, or we might not. When we talk about developing other people with a coaching style, we're talking about helping them to find their own answers to their own problems, or helping them to find themselves how to go about achieving a specific goal. To use this coaching style effectively, the manager will need to get used to asking a lot of questions. For example, when someone asks you, "How should I do this?" or "Can you tell me the best way to fix this thing?" you might be tempted to just give them your idea and tell them what to do. But that is not going to get them thinking for themselves. They may not really accept what you offer, and they may not really commit to the action that you propose. If you want to use a coaching style, you will need to keep your ideas to yourself and start asking more questions. A better reflex might be to ask, "Well, what do you have in mind?" Or "What do you think you should do?" Of course, when you do this, the person in front of you might not immediately have a good idea. After all, they came to you asking for help. Bringing some structure to your coaching questions can help to focus the conversation and is more likely to lead to results, more likely to get the other person to actually figure something out themselves and commit to some action. One interesting structure for a coaching conversation is the GROW structure, created by Sir John Whitmore. Here, the coaching conversation happens in 4 phases. First, your questions will focus the other person on what they are actually trying to achieve, their goal. It's important that the other person makes this goal clear themselves and considers why it's important for them. As Stephen Covey said in his famous book of 7 Habits, begin with the end in mind. When the goal is clear, your questions will start to focus the other person on the current reality. Here it's all about positioning, a kind of gap analysis. You'll be trying to help the other person to understand where they are now with regard to each element defined in the goal-setting phase. And don't forget, you're doing this by asking questions. With a clear goal and a good idea of the current reality, it's time to ask questions that generate some options to bridge that gap. The manager might ask, "Well, what could you do?" The better defined the goal and the better defined the reality, the more precise these questions of options may be, and there's more chance that the other person will come up with something that they could actually do. Finally, Whitmore's GROW model says we should ask questions to get the other person to commit to some action. This is the will moment. Which options motivate you? Which options do you have the will to do? And what will you actually do and when? It's action planning time. Of course, being a good coach takes more than just a few questions and the GROW model. But if you have the right frame of mind and you are really willing to help other people to find their own answers without giving answers yourself, it can be a great motivating approach that actually gets people thinking and committing to taking some real action.